When we have food through our mouth, food gets broken down in the mouth with the help of salivary enzymes present in the saliva. These broken down food now gets stored in the stomach. So food particles get stored in the stomach so that it can be further digested. That is, it can be further broken down for the easy passage of the food molecules from the stomach to the small intestine. Now, there are two structures which form the gateways of the stomach: the esophageal sphincter and the pyloric sphincter. When you are not eating, this esophageal sphincter remains closed. But when you are eating something, due to the alternate contraction and the relaxation of this esophagus, the esophageal sphincter opens and the food passes into the stomach. Now, while digestion, this pyloric sphincter remains closed, and also large food particles cannot pass out easily through this pyloric sphincter. But after the digestion takes place, food particles are further broken down, so those smaller particles can easily pass through the pyloric sphincter. So food molecules that we intake, they get digested in the stomach. That is, it gets broken down into smaller and smaller particles. Now, unless the food molecules become smaller, it cannot pass easily through the pyloric sphincter and go into the small intestine. So, the digestive juices that are present in the stomach and helps in digestion is acidic in nature and breaks the food. And since it is a strong acid, because of presence of hydrochloric acid, it also can kill different microbes in the stomach. Now, HCl maintains an acidic pH in the stomach. The stomach also releases an enzyme known as pepsinogen, which is an inactive enzyme. Now, another function of this HCl is to convert this inactive enzyme into its active form. So, pepsinogen is the inactive enzyme. HCl converts this enzyme into its active form, which is known as pepsin. Now, pepsin is a proteolytic enzyme. That is, it can break the proteins in the stomach, thus digesting the proteins which were not being able to get digested in the mouth. So, if a person is having chapati along with chicken, the chapati, which consists of carbohydrates, can get easily digested in the mouth because of the presence of the salivary enzymes that can digest carbohydrates. But these salivary enzymes cannot digest the proteins in the meat. So the undigested meat or the protein gets stored in the stomach, where it gets further digested. The pepsin acts on these proteins and breaks it down to polypeptides and further into peptides, and then it can move out of the stomach. Now, there is another protein present in milk. It is known as casein. So, to digest this milk protein, which is known as casein, stomach releases an enzyme known as the renin. Renin digests casein into paracasein. So these digestive juices break down the food particles. So food particles along with the digestive juices form a lubricated food, a moistened food bolus, which is known as the chyme. The gastric juice contains HCl, which is hydrochloric acid, and maintains an acidic pH in the stomach. It contains enzymes such as pepsinogen and renin, and salts which are colorless. So this is the composition of gastric juice, which is secreted in the stomach and helps in the process of digestion. Now, the digestive juices consists of HCl, which is a very strong acid. Now, why does this strong acid not burn holes in the stomach? We have seen HCl in our chemistry labs. Our teachers often tell us to be very careful with this acid because it can cause a lot of damage. It can cause holes in our skin. But this same acid is present in our stomach but not creating holes or not creating any damage. Why? This is because stomach secretes a slimy material known as mucus that forms a layer over the stomach wall. Now this mucus ensures that the HCl secreted in the stomach does not come in direct contact with the stomach wall and cause damage to it. Now also see, since the mucus has a slimy nature, it also lubricates food and allows easy passage of food from the stomach to the intestine. Now, many of you might have heard about gastric ulcers which cause immense pain in the stomach. Now, these gastric ulcers are formed because the HCl secreted in the stomach causes damage to the stomach wall. Now, how does this HCl come in direct contact with the stomach wall, even though there is the presence of the mucus layer in between? This happens when a person goes through a long phase of improper timing of food. Now, when a person takes his proper meals at proper timings, then his body gets conditioned over time to secrete the digestive or the gastric juices as well as HCl to digest the food. But in this case, since his timings have changed, there is no food in the stomach, but since his body is already conditioned to secrete digestive juices and HCl, the HCl directly acts on the mucus wall and burns it. Now, over a prolonged period of time, this HCl burns hole on the mucus layer and finally comes in direct contact with the stomach lining and causes damage to it. Now, gastric ulcers are often accompanied by tremendous pain. So I would always advise you that take food in small quantities or small portions, but take it at proper intervals of time.